What is up, Insaners, and welcome to another video of the Fantasy Premier League 2022-23 season. In this one, guys, we're going to talk about the chip strategy from Game Week 29 to 38. So we'll discuss wildcard, free hit, bench boost, and different scenarios for the triple captain chip. Now, in case if you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel. Do like the video as well because it will help us gain more reach. And with that, let's start today's video. Now we'll start with the first scenario where we have the free hit, wildcard, and the bench boost available. So if you have all these three chips available, there are two cases that you can go for. The first case is basically wildcard in Game Week 29, free hit in 32, and bench boost in 34. I think this is going to be a popular chip strategy if you have all the three chips available. So you can get a good team for Game Week 29. So let's say if you do not have enough double Game Week players, you can set up a good team for 29. You don't really have to worry for 32 because there are teams like Brighton, Man United, Man City, and Chelsea blanking. So you can still get those players in for 29. And then you can use the free hit in 32 and get rid of those players and set up a proper team for free hit 32. Now with the wildcard in 29, you can also prepare for a bench boost in 34 because you again have 6 teams who are having a double game week in game week 34, and I think bench boost in 34 is going to be a good strategy. Now even if you don't have enough players having a double game week in game week 34, you still can get players from the Newcastle team, from the Leicester team who have good single game week fixtures for the bench boost in 34. So that's going to be the most popular strategy. Now the alternate strategy to this is that you can use your regular transfers for Game Week 29. So let's say if you have a decent team for double Game Week 29, maybe you can make a couple of moves. Maybe you have a free transfer available and you can use that and set up a good team for 29. You can dead end your team in Game Week 29. And then you can use the wildcard in Game Week 30. You can set up a fresh team. Again, similarly to the first scenario, guys, you can use your free hit chip in Game Week 32. So you don't have to worry about the blank fixtures in Game Week 32. And then if you have a decent team for Game Week 29, rather you can use your bench boost. So let's say if you have a decent bench, maybe you have 10 to 12 double game week players. Maybe you have players from the Arsenal team. Maybe you have Haaland who's probably fit to play against Liverpool. You can in that scenario use your bench boost in 29 and gain the maximum out of that chip. So again, it ultimately depends on the players and the overall team and the squad that you have. And based on that, you can go for one of these cases. Now I use my wildcard in Game Week 26, but if I had my wildcard available, along with the free hit and the bench boost, I'll possibly be looking at case 1, where I'm using the wildcard in 29, free hit in 32, and then bench boosting in 34. I understand that there could be a possible scenario where bench boost in 34 looks a bit far because of the time gap between 29 and 34, and there could be a lot of things that could happen. Maybe your bench players are injured, maybe they don't start anymore, maybe they are not in form as well. But yeah, that's the risk that you take by bench boosting a little later. In case if your team is okay, it's absolutely fine. You can bench boost right now, get the chip out of the way, and then wildcard for a fresh team in Game Week 30. And let's move on to the second situation where you have the free hit and the wildcard available. Now in this scenario, you don't have the bench boost, you only have the free hit and the wildcard. Now here also the case 1 is basically wildcarding in Game Week 29, setting up a good team with double Game Week players for Game Week 29, and then free hitting either in 32 or in 34. So let's say you have the option to free hit in either of those weeks, and based on that you can set up a good wildcard team. So in case if you are ignoring the players or the blanks in Game Week 32, you can set up a good team for 34 on your wildcard in 29, and then just simply use the free hit chip in 32. I still feel free hit in 32 is better than free hit in 34, especially when you have the wildcard available. But yeah, you also have the option to go for a free hit in 34 as well. Now the second scenario here is that you can use your regular transfers for Game Week 29 like the earlier situation, and then you can set up a good team, a fresh team for wildcard 30. Now a wildcard in Game Week 30 basically helps you prepare your team for a slightly longer period. And again, if you have the free hit available, just ignore the blank game week in 32. Don't really consider those blank fixtures. You can just use your chip and try to gain the maximum from that blank game week, and then set up for a good double game week in Game Week 34 as well. Yes, in this scenario, maybe you can go a bit lighter in terms of the Arsenal players, and then you can load up on players from Man City and Liverpool. Now there's another scenario where you can use your regular transfers for Game Week 29, Game Week 30, 31, and maybe by chance you can also kind of go through with a blank Game Week 32 through regular transfers. Now in this scenario, you can possibly use your wildcard in Game Week 33 and then use your free hit in 34 as well. I personally don't like this strategy because I think free hit in 32 is a pretty strong option, and you don't really have to take a lot of hits, make a lot of transfers to kind of navigate that blank in Game Week 32. I still prefer cases 1 and 2, but yeah, in case if you want to follow this strategy, if you feel that this is the best strategy for your team, you can absolutely do that. Now let's move on to the third situation where we have the wildcard. Now This could be with or without the bench boost chip. So let's say if you have the wildcard available and the bench boost chip available, the wildcard is basically divided into 3 different scenarios where you can use it in Game Week 29 to set up for a good double in 29. You can set up a wildcard team in Game Week 33 as well and then go for a bench boost in 34. I think that's also a pretty strong combination. And I think this works really well when you have a decent team for Game Week 29. You don't necessarily have to use your wildcard in Game Week 29, but if you feel that you do not have enough doublers and you want to load up on more double Game Week players, then absolutely go for Game Week 29 wildcard. Now there's also an alternate scenario where you can use a wildcard chip in Game Week 34 as well. I personally don't like the idea again because I feel it's a bit too late. You won't be able to take a lot of advantage. I feel the wildcard in Game Week 34 is only good from a scenario where you can load up on a lot of Man City options, which I think you can also achieve through regular transfers. So I don't think so the gain is very huge. I think Game Weeks 29 and 33 are better. 33 especially if you have the bench boost chip available and you want to use that in the double Game Week 34, where good premium teams have a double game week. Now for the bench boost, I think again they're two important and good weeks to go for. Now using the bench boost in 29 is a great option in case if you're not using the wildcard, you can absolutely go for the bench boost chip in 29. It depends on what bench you have. In case if you have a good bench for double game week players, absolutely go for it. In case if you have players from the Arsenal team, maybe let's say you have Saka, Martinelli, White, maybe another Arsenal defender, maybe you have Haaland as well, and I think he's okay and if he's fit to play, you can also use your bench boost chip in 29. Now in a scenario where you're using a wildcard chip in Game Week 33, I think you can set up a good team for Game Week 33, 34 as well. Then try to take advantage of the double game weeks in 34. Now Game Week 34 has slightly better double game weeks, especially for slightly premium teams. And if you want to take advantage of teams like Liverpool, like Brighton, Man United, and even Man City, now in that scenario, you can actually use your bench boost chip in 34. So you'll have to ultimately see the players that you have in Game Week 29 and how good they are or how good of a fixture they have for a bench boost. And then you also have to kind of make sure in terms of what is your plan for 30, 31, 32, 33, and then see what would be the possible options for Game Week 34 and what would be their fixtures. If you feel that Game Week 34 in terms of your team has better players with better fixtures, then you possibly save your bench boost chip for 34. But if you feel that you're not sure about your plan in terms of your transfers and what would be your team, what would be the situation in terms of FPL at that point of time, and if you have a decent and a strong squad for double game week 29, absolutely go for the bench boost chip in 29. Now let's move on to the next scenario where we only have the free hit chip available. Now in case if you just have the free hit, if you've already used all your other chips, then there are two scenarios where you can use it in Game Week 29 or in 34. Now both of these weeks are double game weeks. 29 has decent or possibly the biggest double game week of the season. Yes, there are a few teams having decent double game week fixtures, but it's not a very good double game week. Yes, there are a lot of teams, so it gives you variety, it gives you a lot of options in terms of different players to go for. But you can also try to take advantage of Game Week 34 on a free hit, where you have important and bigger teams having a double game week. So you have Man City, Man United, Brighton, even Fulham. Yes, Fulham has a tricky double game week, but maybe you can look at somebody like a Mitrovic if he's okay to play at that point of time. You also have West Ham, and in case if you're chasing, in case if you're trying to gain rank, I think West Ham could also give you a couple of options on a free hit in Game Week 34. So again, you have to see both situations. You have to kind of make a squad, make a rough idea, make a rough team in terms of what would be your team in 29 and 34, and try to compare both the teams. Whichever team you feel has a better chance of scoring more points, you then basically use the chip in that particular week. Now let's move to the next situation where we only have the triple captainship available. Now there are 3 cases for the triple captainship. Now Game Week 29, I still don't feel it's the best week to use a triple captainship because you have options like Rashford or even the Brighton mids. Maybe you can go for Haaland, maybe Saka, but again they don't have double game week fixtures. They only have a single fixture. Salah also doesn't have the best double game week fixtures. I mean it's quite a tricky double for Salah. Then the other option is going for Haaland Game Week 34. I think that's a slightly better option in terms of triple captaincy. The third situation is basically Game Week 37, where Man City could again double. We do not know that information, that's why there's a question mark here. But in terms of the current information that we have, I think Game Week 34 is a better week than Game Week 29 for triple captaincy. So that'll be it for my side for this video, guys. I hope you liked and enjoyed the video today. Now this should be a good starting point in terms of your thinking for Game Week 29 and 38, and depending on the chips that you have, you can go for alternate strategies here. But yeah, do let me know what is your chip strategy. Do let me know what all chips you have available right now in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.